Good morning, friends. Today is January 5th, 2025, and we are here at the ULT DC Lodge in historic Manassas, Virginia. Today we are going to start with the declaration of the Lodge. The policy of this Lodge is independent devotion to the cause of Theosophy, without professing attachment to any Theosophical organization. It is loyal to the great founders of the Theosophical movement, but it does not concern itself with dissensions or differences of individual opinion. The work it has on hand and the end it keeps in view are too absorbing and too lofty to leave it the time or inclination to take part in side issues. That work and that end is the dissemination of the fundamental principles of the philosophy of Theosophy and the exemplification in practice of those principles through a truer realization of the self, a profounder conviction of universal brotherhood. It holds that the unassailable basis for union among Theosophists, wherever and however situated, is similarity of aim, purpose, and teaching, and therefore has neither constitutions, bylaws, nor officers, the sole bond between its associates being that basis. And it aims to disseminate this idea amongst Theosophists in furtherance of unity. It regards as Theosophists all who are engaged in the true service of humanity, without distinction of race, creed, sex, condition, or organization, and it welcomes to its association all those who are in accord with its declared purposes and who desire to fit themselves, by study and otherwise, to be better able to help and teach others. The true Theosophist belongs to no cult or sect, yet belongs to each and all. The following is the form signed by the Associates of the United Lodge of Theosophists. Being in sympathy with the purposes of this lodge, as set forth in its declaration, I hereby record my desire to be enrolled as an associate, it being understood that such association calls for no obligation on my part other than which I myself determine. Would we like to proceed with the devotional reading from Light on the Path? Now we have the devotional reading from Light on the Path. Before the eyes can see, they must be incapable of tears. Before the ear can hear, it must have lost its sensitiveness. Before the voice can speak in the presence of masters, it must have lost the power to wound. Before the soul can stand in presence of the masters, its feet must be washed in the blood of the heart. Kill out ambition, kill out desire of life, kill out desire of comfort. Work as those work who are ambitious. Respect life as those do who desire it. Be happy as those are who live for happiness. Seek in the heart the source of evil and expunge it. It lives fruitfully in the heart of the devoted disciple as well as in the heart of the man of desire. Only the strong can kill it out. The weak must wait for its growth, its fruition, and its death. And it is a plant, and it lives and increases throughout the ages. It flowers when the man has accumulated unto himself innumerable existences. He who will enter upon the path of power must tear this thing out of his heart. And then the heart will bleed, and the whole life of man seem to be utterly dissolved. This ordeal must be endured. It may come at the first step of a perilous ladder, which leads to the path of life. It may not come until the last. But, disciple, remember that it has to be endured, and fasten the energies of your soul upon the task. Live neither in the present nor the future, but in the eternal. This giant weed cannot flower there. This blot upon existence is wiped out by the very atmosphere of eternal thought. Kill out all separateness. Kill out desire for sensation. Kill out the hunger for growth. Yet stand alone and isolated, because nothing that is embodied, nothing that is conscious of separation, nothing that is out of the eternal can aid you. Learn from sensation and observe it, because only so can you commence the science of self-knowledge, unconsciously but eagerly anxious to open its soul to the air. So must you press forward to open your soul to the eternal. But it must be the eternal that draws forth your strength and beauty, not desire of growth. For in the one case you develop in the luxuriance of purity, in the other you harden by the forcible passion for personal stature. Desire only that which is within you. Desire only that which is beyond you. Desire only that which is unattainable. For within you is the light of the world, the only light that can be shed upon the path. And now we have a talk on the Theosophical New Year.
Good morning, friends, and Happy New Year to everyone. Yesterday we celebrated a Theosophical New Year, January 4th, and today we'll talk a little bit about the New Year and specifically on practical aspect of making resolutions in this very important season and making these resolutions sustainable and working in our life, not just the dreams. So I dedicate this talk to all the dreamers. First of all, about the season. Just from exoteric standpoint, we are completing right now holiday season, and many of us arrived to this very end out of breath, happy or not happy. It really depends on circumstances. But what is important to realize that the holiday season is just a magnifying glass of where each one of us is in life. It magnifies those who are alone, who feel maybe even more lonely in this holiday season. It magnifies those who are celebrated this with family and maybe had any kind of family resolutions. It magnifies those who are seeking health and may have not been able to celebrate. So it's really a moment of taking stock of where we are in life and setting the direction where we want to go. This is exoteric. Now, if we look at it from esoteric standpoint, this is the time of regeneration, and we'll talk more about why this season is so special. But I would like to start with a quote from Robert Crosby, who talked a lot about the new year, wrote about resolutions, and really gave lots of guidance on how to set the right resolutions in the season. He writes, resolutions will never do us any good if we do not sustain them. A mere desire will never get us anywhere. We have to maintain the desire. We need to stick to resolutions. We have to exert our will and cleave to the object of that will throughout. So this is the guidance given to us by Robert Crosby. Now, why this is so important to set resolutions and direction for our life during this season, and actually what is the parameters when we set these resolutions. The new year is a very special time, and the cycle begins with the winter solstice on December 21st. So this is the beginning of the rising sun. This is where the light's starting to grow again. And the solstice is derived from two words. It's sol and sistere. Sol means sun in Latin, and sistere means balance. This is where the sun achieves perfect balance in the sky. And what it's as above, so below, this is where we come in a total balance within ourselves. And we can shift ourselves one direction or the other direction. But this is the moment of balance from where we make the next motion into the direction we will be moving in the next year. So from the solstice, it's exactly 2 weeks till the Theosophical New Year that is happening on January 4th. So we just celebrated this yesterday. And this is the time when we start our regenerative cycle. This is where the astral light of the earth is the most strong. So it works with our resolutions and with our will to create changes. It is also not a coincidence that this is the period of birth of not only of the nature. So in many pagan traditions, that was considered the birth of the nature, birth of the sun, birth of the light, beginning of the new season and a new cycle, both in the pagan spirituality as in agricultural cycles. But also, this is a very important season from the standpoint of birth of the great masters that we know of. It is the period where Jesus Christ was born, where Mitra, Bacchus, Adonis, Osiris, and Apollo were born. So they're all being born in this season. Most likely, this is a symbolic representation because this is the birth of the spirit, birth of the monad, birth of the light. So the birth of the great masters was also bunched around this time. That again tells us that this is a very significant time in the cycle of the year. And I already mentioned about the astral light, that it is when the astral light is starting to grow and it is propelling all of what happens forward. So it's sort of a motion that takes us from the soul sister, from the balance of the sun into the motion. And again, if we look at the solstice and the sun in the word solstice, or the positioning of the sun. Sun again is a symbolic. It is, of course, a sun that gives us warmth and propels the nature into life on earth. But sun is also meant as eternal light, as the one fundamental principle, and as a higher self. So sun signifies both. So it is sun, our higher self, the one immensible that we are part of, and the planetary sun, the physical sun that all comes in one and begins to grow. So with that, we, the higher self, and us on a physical plane, also begin our new cycle of regeneration. Now, Robert Crosby also wrote a lot about the futility of our resolutions. He wrote that how many years we begin with the new resolutions and how many years we end realizing that nothing has changed. And this is why I mentioned at the beginning that the holiday season is a great magnifying glass where we are in life. Because every January we set the resolutions, the gym becomes full and the good food stores are having lines, and then by the end of the year, the scale doesn't show what we want to see, the relationships are not where we want, the career is still didn't move forward, and we basically see our life in the same state. What goes wrong? Why it is such a notorious problem for humans to actually affect change and make shifts through our resolutions? So the first guidance that Robert Crosby gives us is not to make negative resolutions. So not to make resolutions that say, I will not smoke, I will not drink, I will not get up late and show up to work late. So from basic things. So they're not done from negative. They're always done from positive, from affirmation, because the vibration of negativity will affect everything we do with negativity. A vibration of positivity will have a positive effect. But even before we go into understanding of how to make this resolution, it's very important to understand the human nature and what motivates us and what makes us to succeed in what we determine and what makes us fail. So understanding human nature is one of the key success factors. First understanding of the human nature is that as humans, we perceive world through a self. Like the animals may perceive it through, they don't have a sense of self, so they'll perceive world through different senses, through maybe light, through temperature, through smells, through echolocation. We as humans actually perceive world through self, how it affects us. How do I feel from the result of certain actions? So self is our measure of perception of the world. So when we make resolutions, we do make it through a self lens. So we will say how I can make any self improvements. How can I have more creativity? How can I achieve inner peace? And through that self-measure, we will produce actions that will also affect others and create good results for humanity, for the planet, for our families, from our workplaces, or negative results. But the initial measure is through self. As we are embodied in this body and we're physical, and we have a lower self, we have higher self, it is we who perceive things and we set resolutions through our perception where we want to be. If you set a resolution that you just want to be completely selfless, it may not happen because we are embodied. Not yet. When we achieve the state of the masterhood, we can. But right now, that would be from the dream state. So there are people who say, I will serve humanity, I'll be totally selfless, I'll leave all myself behind. We really can't because we're still embodied. So it is best to accept that I have myself, I have my self-perception of where I want to be. I perceive through myself negativity and positivity, and I will affect the world through that self-perception in a positive way. So having the self-lens is important, and those who abandon it often go into the dream state. So this is staying grounded in our physical reality. The second understanding of human nature is that sometimes we can be at a level of development of a child, and our goal is to grow to the level of development of adult, and then to grow further to level of development of the masterhood. When we are in a state of childhood, even as adults, we do have a desire to be saved and to be aided. So our resolutions may be more over prayers, and this is where more of the infantile approach to spirituality can come, when you rely on the God to come and help you and look after you and be of support to you. This is not the role of divinity or of the higher self. It can guide you, but it's not going to make your wishes come true. It's not a Santa Claus. But that's the child state that desires that. So if people are in the child state, they will be saying, well, I wish miracle happens and I don't have any financial difficulties. That miracle not going to happen, and the God or the Jesus or whoever they're praying to not going to make it happen, because they're making that resolution in the child state. The adult state takes self-responsibility and self-accountability. It says, well, I want to have a better, say, financial future or better relationships, and I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and I should be guided by my higher self or by whatever divinity they may choose. So it's looking also at the state of mind and identifying, where am I in the state of mind? Do I want to be aided unconditionally by some external force, or I'm ready to take responsibility for my actions and impact the future? Now we'll come to a most interesting part of resolution making, and that's to understanding of karma. We're well familiar with the concept of karma in Theosophy. And this is basically a multitude of possibilities and multi-dimensional fabric of all options that can happen. And it is action and reaction and cause and effect of what we're doing. So karma is not something that is set in stone. It is basically literally a life fabric of actions, reactions, causes, and effects that we constantly are creating and impacting. Now, there is also a need to understand three types of karma. There is Sanchita, Prarabdha, and Kriyamana. And we seldom talk about it, we just sort of put it together in one term, karma. But this is a very interesting concept when we look at Sanchita karma. Sanchita karma is a karma that is not right. So all karma is right or not right, for ease of understanding. Sanchita karma is all karma that we ever created in our past lives and in our current life. And it's basically everything that we have created in the past, everything was created maybe in this lifetime, and some part of this karma may be realized in this lifetime. Some part of this karma may be realized in next, some maybe in 10 lives. So this is the pool of all karma, and some of it will realize now, and some of this we may never see till later. Sanchita karma usually affects where you're born, the physical body in which we're born, people we may meet, and sort of the main circumstances of life that we will encounter. So some people call it basically the agreements we make before birth. They're not really agreements. This is the cumulative karma that we come here to live. But some of it may not be here now. It may be coming later. The second type of karma is Prarabdha, and this is the what's called right karma. Right karma is part of the Sanchita that is realized in this lifetime. So this is the karma that we came in this life and brought with us and working through this. So this definitely is our physical body, our initial state of health in which we were born. We can of course affect it positive and negative throughout the lifetime. Family in which we were born. So many attributes that are fixed at the birth and that were brought with us. And the last karma is Kriyamana, and this is the karma that we are creating right now through our actions. And we may see some of it in this lifetime and some of it in the future. And Kriyamana is, for me, it was easy to remember because I associated it with cryonics. In cryonics, you basically freeze the body now for it to come to life in the future. So Kriyamana is you freeze the karma now, so you create action now that you will write in the future. So when we talk about resolutions, it is really critical to understand what you can affect and what you cannot affect. Because if you're trying to affect things that have been fixed, you're not going to change them. So if we are saying, making a wish, let's say, I wish I would have 5 children. And I would like to have more children, but you're maybe already, I don't know, in the age you can have children. It's not going to come true because it's from the state of dreams. There is a karma, you've had as many children as per this karmic conditions, you're working with that. If you say, well, I really want something else, and you're going to start trying to work on that, and it's not where your karma brought you, and it's not something you can affect, this is a wasteful use of time. So understanding where your karma is fixed and when it is open is really critical. Now, what is also important is to understand that none of the karma is really fully fixed. Through our actions today, how we react to karmic conditions brought to us from Sanchita, we are redefining that karma. So, for example, you came here with the karma of illness at birth. It depends how you receive it. If you receive it negatively and you basically collapse, your karma exaggerates further and you carry it further. If you receive it positively and you impact with a positive change of saying, well, I've given this limiting conditions, but I will do the best with them, then that will change the karma into the positive. So there is nothing that is 100% fixed. We're always affecting our karma. So it's literally good to imagine it as a living fabric of all possibilities that is constantly evolving. But understanding what is more fixed and what needs to be accepted and worked with in a positive way, and what can be created as the next positive karma is important in creating the right resolution. Try to draw a picture that may help to understand these different types of karma. So all of this will be Sanchita. Now, let's say, this is this lifetime, our life, and this part of karma is Prarabdha. So this is the overall karma that we are living right now. And this is unrealized karma that may happen in other lifetimes. And this portion, or maybe it was that, is Kriyamana. So this is the karma we're creating right now. So when we set our resolutions, we need to clearly understand, okay, this is what I'm given, this is the difficult conditions, limiting conditions that I brought from the past. And how will I react to them? How this will change karma in the future. Unrealized karma we don't worry about because that will come to the next lifetimes. And this is the Kriyamana that we are creating right now. And we may experience the effect of it in the future, we may experience the effect of it now. Now, when we're affecting our karma, this is the second picture. So if we look at this section, this is the Prarabdha, and it is fixed. So we're working with the condition. But this is our leisure time. And we often look at the leisure time as a time to relax and do nothing. When actually leisure time, I like to call it sort of in a funny way in my own mind, this is in a way a primordial soup, because everything is possible out of the leisure time. Prarabdha is the job. We have to go there, we work 8 hours or more, depending on the karma. Prarabdha is our family. Some is more demanding, some is less demanding. Some family will take the entire leisure time, so you have 1 hour, and some families are more relaxed, so you have more time. This may be caring for the sick, so it's fixed. Like, there's not much you can do with the time addressing the Prarabdha karma. But the leisure time, that's the soup of creation. This is where you can actually create new things and affect change. So understanding what is our karmic actions that we must fulfill, and what we're maybe overdoing and overstepping somebody's karma. Maybe somebody doesn't need help. They should figure things out on their own, but we're going there and we're meddling with their business, and it's our resolution that we're helpful. Actually, we're not being helpful. We're meddling with their karmic business, and we are not going into our leisure time to affect change for us and for the others, basically addressing our own challenges and limitations. So understanding what is our karmic responsibility to others, and what is the leisure from which we can create new movement, new self-improvement, new level of compassion, new service to humanity. So when we understand that we are making resolutions just for this, then our resolutions become realistic. If we're making resolutions that actually don't have space for us to work with, because all of this is taken with our karmic responses to existing conditions. So it's important to understand that we are making resolutions to work with the space we have available. Then they become realistic. So when we make realistic resolutions that within the karma that we can impact, we make them very specific, and we make them very actionable in a way. And when we take this, we've heard it many times, make your resolutions actionable and specific and time-bound. But what does it mean in terms of esoteric teachings? Well, there is a term in both in Hinduism and in Buddhism that is called tapas. Tapas is basically can be translated as an austerity, austere action. At times it was misunderstood as an austerity in terms of in Christianity it can be a self-flagellation. In Buddhism would be going into the forests and just meditating or not eating. This is a misunderstanding. Tapas could be applied by all of us, without the austerity of punishing our physical body, because it's not the physical that needs austerity. It is our lower self that needs direction, and our mental state, mental plane that needs austerity of staying on track. So we do affect our resolutions that we've made within the flexible karma by applying tapas. And tapas is basically consistency. We'll give an example of that happened a few days ago of us getting in a snowstorm in West Virginia. And it was literally, we all felt that we are not going to arrive home. It was very, very bad storm. We were in the eye of the storm. There was ice under the car, and there was, you're basically in a cloud of white, and there is no road, you don't see anything. So how do you get through this kind of situation? And in a basic rule of driving, what got us through, you have to be very slow and very steady. So you cannot make left turn, right turn, depending on what you perceive. You have to go slow and steady. That's what tapas are, is going slow and steady and applying the austerity of discipline to our actions. So it is just like driving in treacherous conditions. You cannot be swirling, you can't be thinking, oh, this may be something that will impact me, let's just make a sharp turn or turn around. You have to go steady, you have to keep the course and apply discipline. And discipline is basically the austerity of the mind. No austerity of the body will help us unless we apply austerity of the mind and our direction we want to take. And with that, we seek guidance of our higher self. This is what the Theosophy tells us, to basically seek guidance of the higher self. And one probably will ask them how. It's not talking to me right now. Well, there are different techniques that again has been given to us in the Theosophical teachings. And one of these techniques of talking to your higher self on applying tapas or austerity and discipline to resolutions and the mind is self-reflection. It is the meditative state or self-reflection that we can do daily. We can wake up with a mindset of setting the track where we want to go, the resolutions that we have taken that we can apply in the leisure time that will not impact our occupied time by karma responses, and can impact only things that we can impact, not something from the dream world that I want to be rich and I want to have 5 kids, but you can't, or I want to be healthy tomorrow without applying any steps. It is the austerity of the mind, the discipline, the reflection in the morning, reflection in the evening of assessing of how the self-improvement was working or not working, and repetition. So it is literally in the morning and the evening, talking to your higher self. In the morning, setting intention. In the evening, checking in, how did they do? As simple as that. And keeping a steady course in applying this to the results we want to achieve. Now, there is also a term used in the literature on harvesting karma, right karma. That basically what we're doing, we are harvesting karma. The karma that became right, we say, okay, I received this situation, I'm going to harvest it, and I will harvest it in a positive way. And then with the other hand, we sow karma. And there is no way out of sowing karma. Sometimes there is a practices of just living in meditation and going in the deserts. That's not what the students of Theosophy do. We live in the world and we attempt to sow positive karma. So literally with one hand, we harvest right karma in a positive way. With the other hand, we sow karma, and hopefully we try to sow positive karma. Once we do that, this is how we create a slow but steady change in our karmic circumstances in this lifetime and in the next lifetime. Now, it all sounds simple, but the challenge is in the distinction what can be done and what cannot be done, because this is a very fine line, what is realistic and what is not realistic. Because we often get caught up in desires. But as Robert Crosby already said, the desire is not enough. There has to be a wisdom to understand which desire within the karmic conditions we have can be applied and which desire just should be let go. And I would like to conclude this talk with a very, very beautiful saying that really summarizes the core knowledge that we need to have in making resolutions and applying them to our lives. And this is from St. Francis, who says, "Give us grace to accept with serenity the things that cannot be changed." And he's speaking of Prarabdha karma. Cannot be changed. It's right, it's already here, deal with it. Courage to change things which should be changed. So the courage of saying that I will apply tapas and I will change the circumstances that can be changed and are not favorable for me and for the humanity. And the most important and the most difficult, having the wisdom to distinguish between the two. So, friends, any questions? Or any reflections on resolutions?
I really appreciated you using karma as a metaphor for the work that we have to do, like defining it under that umbrella, as opposed to like it's just work. Because no matter what you do, there's always going to be that slice. And like I think one of our great human failings is that we are constantly trying to think of how we can just go to the desert and not have to do anything. And so to see it as a part of the full karmic package, but then understand that you still have slices within it that are malleable, is a helpful, more sustainable metaphor for the realities of our physical reality.
Yeah, the big challenge of unrealistic resolutions or the dreams is when we want to basically eliminate our karma. Say, I don't want any of this. I want to be, born in a royal family. I want to be born in a different country. Well, it didn't happen. That was karmic conditions were wrong. And we often have these questions. Why me? Why was I born here? Why was I born in this family? Why was I born in this body? No matter how much you wish or resolve, it cannot be changed.
Yeah, I've never heard quite like this in the subject, but it is really very understandable, and I think it's very comprehensive. But the idea of I was thinking about while you drawing those lines, when you're belling in somebody else's karma, Now, what do we draw a line? If you talk close to somebody, like your family member or something like that, where does my responsibility end? I don't know. It's just a life I find that difficult to do.
Yeah. On this, I don't remember where this passage was in one of the Theosophical readings on not seeking the circumstances to aid, but reacting to circumstances that come to your life. Like not being on a search, where can I do good?
Yeah.
But just living, and when situations come to you, noticing them and reacting to them. But again, this is the wisdom of distinguishing between the two. Yeah, when it's somebody else's responsibility, you're just shortening your sort of the personal primordial soup from which you can cook things and meddling in a karma that you can't really affect. And, just from some of the life examples, sometimes we try to change people who don't ask to be changed, or help those who want to be helped. No, they don't want to be helped. They don't want change, but we want them to change for our sake. So this is when we're definitely getting out of our creative space into their karmic space and not really meddling with their karma, wasting time. And it's so important in resolutions to realize how limited time is that we can affect, and how we need to be really wise about using it instead of meddling in something that cannot be changed. As St. Francis said, just realize things that can be changed and that cannot be changed. And accept those that cannot be changed. That maybe the karmic situation of the other person is not ready for change yet, and we are pushing there, no change for me. And of course, justifying that we're helping.
And this is the time of the year when you have the most impact of decisions
Yes.
and actions.
So making the right decisions is really critical.
Yeah.
And maybe having a list of all the dream decisions and practical.
Oh, no, I was going to say, it's funny the linguistic parallel between tapas here meaning small steps on the big road and eating tapas, small things on the big table.
Yeah.
I just thought that was
Yeah, no, there is something.
there's some root of the word there.
Sure. But it's literally like driving in the snow, very slow and very steady.
Right. Mhm.
Or you crash with all of your resolutions.
Resolutions spilling out out of the car on the highway.
And also we set resolutions between this the 21st of December and January 4th. By January 4th, they're set, and we are just going with them because if we want to be in the cycle of the astral light. So this is it. Today we're already starting on new resolutions. And then we complete them by December 21st and then reassess. And that's why in the beginning I said that the holiday is such a magnifying glass where we're in life. It's just a natural cycle of us to sit down and reassess. Okay, so what happened this cycle?
Mhm.
And the beauty is that there will be yet another cycle. So what couldn't be done yet will be done next year. What couldn't be done this lifetime will be done next lifetime.
It's like
Seems like
surfing.
it's a lot easier just to pray for forgiveness.
Oh, that's the child state, or ask for help, for a miracle help.
America.
Yeah. Instead of applying those topics.
You know, we know that no such thing as a miracle.
The miracle can come if you are putting all of your efforts and all the tapas and all the steadiness, then it may come. May not.
Well, if you create a miracle, yeah.
Right, but then it wasn't a miracle.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just created it.
And in a way, when we are applying that will to resolutions, if they happen, yes, we affected some karmic condition. If it didn't happen, we just accept the karmic conditions were stronger. And we accept that, okay, I have to live with this karma. It wasn't enough to affect it. So the acceptance is also a big part of
So
resolution.
you gotta recognize it and accept whatever condition the situation is.
Mhm. Recognize, apply tapas and changing, accept as karmic if it didn't change.
A winning formula.
But this is like in some literature, it's noted as putting your best effort and letting go. Yeah. So this is just a description in more of a karmic terms and in terminology we're used to of why. Or because letting go, not because just you should let go and miracle will happen. Because there is some karmic conditions that's just going to be present. And the wisdom of understanding what they are and what they are not. But again, even there are some karmic conditions that look very permanent. Applying the best, if you want to change them, would be probably guidance we would be given because we are accepting that karma in a positive way. We're harvesting it with positivity because if the karma shows up, you have only one choice, you have to harvest it, you have to deal with it. And then by harvesting it, you're also sowing the new karma. So as I said, it's a moving tapestry.
So that dream you got, or you have or something, you don't forget about that, because that might be something that will inspire you to do something. But that dream may be not practical to implement for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if we find ourselves in this dream resolution, in a dream state, as I've mentioned, one of the main failures is the lack of understanding of human nature. So when you're in a dream state, you say, "Oh, I'm in my child state. This is nice, but what would adult do about it?" So it's
Well,
going.
you get two chances in child state.
Mhm.
When you're very young, in his life, when you're very young, you're very old.
It's true, yes, 2 chances. Yes, 2 go-arounds.
Yeah, so you better build out somewhere in between.
Yes.
Yeah, and also so understanding the child states and also understanding negativity. Like real resolutions with negativity will never work. If you put negative, you already negate everything you want to do.
Yeah.
That was a strong point in Crosby's writing in Union.
Mhm.
The negative energy will eliminate whatever the good things will push force.
Well, we can't see, you can see everyone out there, but we can't see the other person going.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see everyone really
Oh,
big
yeah.
now.
Look at Kathy.
I see.
Yeah.
Do we have any reactions or questions
There's Steve up there, yeah.
from those online?
We all share our New Year's resolutions.
Why not? At least just one.
Yeah, it seems like what you're saying, if you make a resolution, you want something to happen, you have to be willing to sacrifice or give something to put into it. Like a lot of people make resolutions that they want to be fit. Well, what are you going to do? You have to put in some time and some effort to
Mhm.
sacrifice of one kind or another to make it happen. And it also reminds me of, the master knows the right thing to do at the right time in the right place.
Mhm.
He's become perfected in this process you've discussed.
Okay, if anyone wants to share resolution, we give all joint response. Where do they fit in the karmic?
Why don't you start?
I had very simple resolution. I practiced, so for me it's simple. I had a resolution to learn how to train horses and to understand them better. So I've got a book, I've got 2 hours of leisure time, and I'm going to practice.
That's certainly a doable resolution
Yeah,
if you go through the training process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is the.
I have the horse, I have the book. I have 2 hours, so I have like little leisure time.
You gotta take the time and then you gotta apply it.
Yeah. And I want to a little bit see how we can understand each other better.
Yeah.
So that's a good practice. It's not a big, but
That's a big one.
big one, big one. Yeah, it's not simple because it's a very big, dangerous animal. Okay, anyone else?
To pay for and actually put a financial impetus and investment into learning music production. Basically saying, I already know which program I want to do. It's online, it's asynchronous, but if you just try to, what I have found over the last year is learning it for free on YouTube is like learning to build a phone in a random order, bit by bit. Like, it's not like a top down, because they're making money for that. So to get an actual course and to do, I don't know how many chapters there are and whatnot, but it's like whatever's reasonable, 1 or 2 chapters per week at least. And to just like get through a course that is actually cohesive and comprehensive, as opposed to what I've been doing the last year, which is like, learn a little about this, learn a little about this, but I'm missing the actual cohesion of it. So yes.
So both resolutions shared, if you assess them from the self perspective that we've talked about, the self is the lens. They both go into creativity. That basically both resolutions are how do we create more creativity and create more in the sphere of interest. Any resolutions of self-improvement and inner peace?
Yes. My resolution is to improve my digital communication,
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's big one.
which means responding to people, not putting it off for weeks,
That's a big one.
answering emails and messages right away. And I will do this by setting aside a time each day to respond.
That's self-improvement.
So,
Yes. Any inner peace resolutions? Inner peace.
Oh, yeah, peace. Well, I've always got really, but that's the kind that you think, well, you know, maybe I can act on that tomorrow.
There's so much inner peace.
It's hard to do.
But it feels like if you actually have inner peace, it's easier to apply tapas and move on through resolutions. It's like one of these prerequisite ingredients. Because not being in inner peace what creates us jumping into karmic responses, meddling with other people, and actually we're seeking our own inner peace. And in each resolution, we measure it with the self, but you always see the end result on someone else. So if I'm trying to learn more about the horse trading and horse language, it is the horses that will be the beneficiaries. They will have more inner peace living with me and interacting with me. In case of resolution on better communication digitally, people will be really happy on the other end to hear back and not feel that they've been rejected, ignored, and that will be a very positive impact on someone else, improving the circumstances outside. And in terms of the creativity, there may be a new product created through the learning that somebody will enjoy and that will bring them excitement and maybe again spark another idea. So we'll always assess the resolution, what it does through self, but how does it impact the other? Does it create a positive impact?
Well, yeah, because one thing I think about is how do I act or the self in benefit, you know, benefit the all. But that's like you said, it's the kind of a on the sky thing. When you're in the body, when you're embodied, that's is that doable?
It is, because I think if one really applies benefit for all in each small action, like responding to a person who just contacted you is benefit for all. Creating a better environment, benefit for all. But if you take it through the self lens, it creates inner peace. So you're trying to achieve inner peace and create benefit for all. So it has both aspects as well. So that's really inner peace of being in balance with all. Now the race starts.
The race.
The race for resolution, the implementation.
Well, we
have this on record. I'll
Yeah,
see you all
it's
next
January 5th.
year.
It's
I
January
think
5th.
we turn from the December 20th to Easter.
Yeah.
The most important.
Yeah.
That's when the energy is there to do,
Yeah.
you know, to get that done.
Yeah, you set them now.
That doesn't
and
mean
then
you can't do it in the summertime too. But the energy is out there now.
And it makes such a common sense, because if you don't have the strong impetus in the beginning, like forming a habit take 21 days. So forming a habit of pushing a resolution forward between now and the Easter, you really already formed it, and then you can sort of follow and coast on it. So next check-in is around Easter.
Yeah. No, you
Okay.
gotta give us a lot of food for thought here. And for action.
And for
Yeah,
action.
that karma breakdown was very interesting because the student was not familiar with it, so this was really interesting to read how it breaks down in different types. So I think we will conclude now and we'll resume in 10 minutes
For the
for the readings.
book of karma.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.